Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Annie Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, implement, and document processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest, I'm very happy to introduce today's guest, which is Marie Torossian. Hi, Marie.
Hi, Addie.
Great to have you on this podcast. We're going to have a great conversation today about, yes, we are going to talk about systems because we always do, but we're going to talk about systems, creating systems in a business, holding the people accountable to execute those systems, but with a mindset of abundance, of massive action, of success in mind, of motivation. So we're going to see how we're going to combine everything together. And I'm going to introduce you in terms of your bio and see why those things from both angles, from the, the angle of the processes, procedures, and financial, thriving financially, and that mindset, how it goes together.
Love that.
First, I'd like to give a big shout out to Karina Bell, who introduced us. So thank you, Karina, for the great introduction. I did a great podcast with Karina, and we talked about her methodology of actually how to save businesses money, and by what she does in terms of figuring out the expenses and reducing the expenses and seeing where businesses can be a little bit leaner or monitor their expenses, etc. So it was a very, very interesting podcast, and I suggest that our listeners listen to it. I'm going to put it in the show notes. So, but Marie, can I introduce you first? Let me introduce you first, okay? So you are a 10X certified elite coach, which we're going to talk about what that is. You are a speaker, a mentor, a certified public accountant, and chartered global management accountant. You're an auditor, CFO, and author. Amazing accomplishment. So a lot of accomplishment in terms of your professional career in the accounting and finance arena. Now, you're also the creator of the Valuation-MT methodology, where you inject systems, policies, and procedures into a business to increase value. So we're definitely going to talk about that because that's what we are all about. And that proprietary methodology is a game changer for business owners. It combines critical ingredients such as business valuation, financial analysis, policies and procedures, menu pricing, growth roadmap, etc. Okay, so that is who you are by the bio you gave me. Let's tell our listeners a little bit more about you.
Sure.
Just like how you start with your career, how you became an entrepreneur, what motivates you help other entrepreneurs, and how do you do that? So I know it's a lot of questions, but let's do it in a concise amount of time because we have so much to talk about.
Super excited, Addie. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And again, Karina is a great friend. I'm so glad she introduced us. I started my career as an auditor, and that's kind of I graduated from Florida International University with my bachelor's and master's in accounting. Got my CPA because I was in audit, and auditing was great. It gave me a lot of skills on how to get into a business and be able to get a very solid understanding of how the operations are working and how that fits into the accounting. So that's a skill. I think it's like a very speedy skill you have to learn. Otherwise you cannot really do any audit. So 2.5 years in, I felt that the work that I was doing, I couldn't see the impact of my work that I was doing. And so I left the audit firm and I joined a nonprofit, a local nonprofit. At the time they were making, 3 to 5 million. became an accounting manager there. So I went into corporate side and started working more on the corporate accounting, which I love, by the way. I just thought that that was more of a better fit for me at the time. And so I stayed there. I worked my way up to be the controller, you know, and then the acting CFO, and then the CFO and COO. So it was such a big, transition, but I've always been this, you know, ambitious person. I want to learn the next thing. I want to better myself. So that has really helped me throughout my career to kind of push myself and not be afraid. Just say, hey, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going to make it happen. And then the reason I kind of like went out back to being an entrepreneur and just starting my own thing is, family is very important. I have 2 children, and I had already gotten pregnant with my second one, and it just seemed like it's going to be very difficult to stay in the corporate setting and keep putting in the hours without getting the impact again when you get to a point where there's seems to be a glass ceiling and you can't push through and there's nothing else that's exciting you anymore. So I left and I started doing some work already. I had started doing some work ahead of time, like a side hustle. And so once my daughter was born, I decided to go all in. I'm either going to fail miserably or I'm just going to survive and eventually thrive. And the reason why I do that is thinking back to when my dad had his own little store, and I was in Lebanon. Life was very difficult there. I've been brought up during wartime, and I saw my dad with that passion of wanting to own a business, and he did. And he struggled on the finances. He just didn't know. I mean, he tried his best. So when I do what I do, these things, I do it because I want to see someone like my dad, who put in all his time and energy to building a business and helping people, to really understand what it takes to really have a proper financial structure. So I pull a lot of that auditor background and the CFO background, and if I put it all in front of them and teach them how to read their financials, they're going to be able to make better decisions and be able to successfully grow their business and then exit at some point and sell it. Or,
absolutely. That makes total sense. Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about the Valuation-MT. What is that? What is that methodology?
Yeah, so the methodology I created after, again, it's based on some of this experience that I've had, being an auditor and then a CFO, and then coming out to being an entrepreneur by my, doing things on my own. The methodology is based on some of the projects that I've already worked on with different clients, as still being a consultant and building my way up. So it's what I've noticed that, again, most people, they start the business and they're not thinking far ahead. And I know at some point we're either going to die and lose the business. A son or daughter or whoever does not want to inherit the business, and they have no idea or no interest in doing any of that. And so there's this gap where business owners either want to get an investor, especially in startup situations. So there's this key ingredients that are necessary for the business to be investable or purchased.
Good. Let's talk about that. So what are the key ingredients that are investable in order to be investable or to purchase? What, from your experience, what are the key ingredients that the business have to have in order for that to be successful?
I'm glad you're asking that question. So obviously systems and processes are going to be great, because the less the business owner is involved in the day-to-day activities and the business is running by itself, it's just going to be more investable. And because people want to, when they're investing their money, they want to make sure that the business is running smoothly and its growth potential is not tied up to that one person. And it's the same way if someone's going to purchase. So if I wanted to go out and purchase, let's say, another firm, I don't want to go to a firm where this one person has done all of the work, all of the clients, everybody's attached to that person. And it's not really a business that was a job that they had for many years. So it's just a self-employed job. So that's,
Marie, you're absolutely right about that. I can tell you that because, we document a lot of processes for companies, for many companies. And one of the reasons I always ask why. So one of it is to prepare for exit. So you're absolutely right. And I see it with my clients. They get a higher value for the business when the business actually has well-documented processes and procedures. or even for themselves, they're able to actually extract themselves from the business, take a vacation from the business. Yeah, so absolutely. So having those systems and processes and procedures can agree more. What else do you see in terms of like the importance of this, the systems that have to be there to be investable, to be exitable, right?
Yes, absolutely. So some of the other key things that investors or whoever is going to purchase the business in acquisition or merger, they're going to look at the revenue, but not just the revenue by like, okay, the total number. What they're going to look for is that clients that are renewing, let's say the renewal rate of your clients, how many clients are the top clients, and how much of your business money, that's the income, is attached to these 3 top clients, and if any one of them leaves, you're like completely falling apart. So those are areas that they will also look at, and that's why it's important to do financial projections and strategic planning every 3 to 5 years, so that you are able to kind of reinvent yourself and see where the opportunities are and be able to plan for the next thing, because economies keep changing. We got through a COVID where everything was shut down. A lot of businesses closed their doors forever. And some were purchased at a very cheaper price, probably because they couldn't survive. So that's another area I see.
I like that. So it's diversification. You want to have the basically it's like the risk mitigation. So you want to diversify in terms of have not just, if a business rely on one client and then you are buying that business and the client leaves, then you have no business. So you definitely have to have that security of diversifying your client base, or making sure you have a contingency plan on that. Or you have also, when you say, I think it's 2 different things. I mean, I think when you're saying renewing clients, so first of all, that you have a method to acquire new clients. So you have a fresh, basically turn of clients, like basically you get clients, you have a method of getting new clients.
Yes.
Then that you're not relying only on a few big customers. Exactly. And then also that you have internally, that you have the retention, the loyalty, and the repetition of clients. It really depends on the type of business you are, but that's what you want to see. Like if you are a dentist, for instance, you want to make sure that, and you are buying a dental practice, that you have a strong base of patients that are going to come and see you every 6 months, right? Otherwise, you're really not buying the patient base.
Absolutely. That's a great example. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, good. So we have that. Anything else that you saw that is important in terms of breaking down the ingredients in order to make the business investable or sellable?
Yeah, I think profitability is the other thing that they will look at. And again, how much of, what is the profitability? So, 10 to 20% are the best levels to be at. And if your business is not making that, you have to plan for getting it there before you start thinking of selling. So that's another area. Again, it comes back to looking at the finances and where are the areas of opportunity, so you can build that profitability before you plan to exit.
Absolutely. And of course, then there is all the other parts of the organization that goes with it. How do you accomplish it, etc. But those are great points to actually analyze and come up with a plan for.
Yeah.
So now, so you've done all of that, but you are also a 10X mindset, 10X certified coach, right? So what is a 10X? I mean, we hear that being thrown out so much, 10X this, 10X that, which is a great mindset and a great way of doing things. But what is that 10X?
I love that question, and I got it quite a lot. And so 10X could mean different things to different people, but the main idea is actually from Grant Cardone's book, 10X Rules. And it actually breaks it down on what it takes to really accomplish goals. It has to do with your mindset. And majority of it is mindset. And also the thought that anything that you think it's going to take, let's say 1 or 2 steps, it's actually more than that. So it's always expect to do more, 10 times more than what you actually thought. And it didn't really hit me that way and right up front. But once I read the book and I started learning a lot of Grant Cardone's, materials in marketing and sales, I realized that how much I was stuck in that, old mindset of like, oh, I thought it was going to be easy. Like, especially like, for example, when 2018, I had one project and it was great. I was at the client for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then I was like, okay, so how do I get my next client? Like, I didn't think about that at the time, and then those questions come up. So you never know, you don't really realize how much it takes. And once you understand that things take 10 times more effort to get to some place, and you start planning for it. So now you start planning for the, if this doesn't work, this is what's going to happen. If this doesn't work, that's going to happen, like you start building those, other steps in that path, so that when things do take longer or things do fall apart, there's still a plan. So it's not like you're suddenly surprised things didn't happen. So 10X for me is just a constant mindset.
Right. It's an abundance mindset, is that,
Yes.
if you think that you need, and you're right, if you think you need, let's say, even if you need a client, you think, okay, well, I'm going to call somebody and they're going to sign up. It's never the case. You have to call 10 clients, 10 potential clients, you can sign one. Or maybe if your closing ratio is better, so it's less, but it's really the that mindset. I read the 10X book when I started my business. And what I really liked about that, where Grant Cardone talks about, obscurity, like, when you start your business, it's obscure. Nobody knows about you. Maybe you think you know about yourself, but right. I mean, so then I go like, oh, okay. So I do. And he tells you, like sitting at home, it's not going to, or in your office, nobody's going to know about you. So do something and take massive amount of action. So those are the two things I love from that book, is the massive amount of action. So if you starting an activity and and nobody knows about it, you're in obscurity, meaning like nobody knows about you. You have to get out there and you have to put yourself out there, but it requires a massive amount of action. And I tell my clients that, like, if they run into some kind of a slump or things are not going as well, or, what not, it's like, you have to are you really taking massive amount of action to accomplish what you want to accomplish? Right?
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. So when we are sometimes coaching clients, that's exactly what happens. So that's a question that I would ask them. So if we had set homework and they go home and they don't do any of it, and they come back feeling like a slump, like nothing's working. So I'm like, so which one did you do? Did you do all of them? Did you do some of them? Did you do nothing? So then, okay, so how could you expect things to happen if you don't take action? Or if you don't take enough action, and everything takes more. So people, I don't know, it's that mindset of that victim mindset that they need to really snap out of. Because if you're in a victim mindset, you're always going to feel like, oh, something's happening to me. It's happening to me. I'm all poor me. And those type of people are never going to be able to, push through and really become the warriors that they need to be able to handle business or anything else in life. Right. Nobody said life is going to be easy. It's always going to be a challenge somewhere, personal, business, and children. That's a given, right? So we cannot change that. What we can change is the way we react to something. Instead of react, that's not the right word, but the way we handle that situation and how we push ourselves through. Do you need to take time to cry? Go ahead and do it. Cry it out, and then just move on. And so that's where I feel like you said it. It's important to push through those thoughts, and 10X is really a mindset. So one of the things that's one of the things that I would ask them, like, how much action did you actually take? So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, but I did this and I did, but you didn't do the stuff we said you were going to do, right? This was the homework. You didn't follow the homework. So now you got to go back and actually do what you said you were going to do, and then we'll see the results of it.
Absolutely. Well, Marie, that's one of the reasons why I started this current company, is because I saw that, when I tell my clients, when I was basically doing general business consulting, I would tell my clients that, one of the things we need to do is to document your processes and procedures, because as obviously we talked at the beginning of the podcast, it's so important. And it was just not being done. So I go, okay, we need to take some massive action here and do something different, right? And I go like, how about if we do it for you, document it for you? And they go, oh yeah, and I could see
Yes.
then I can accomplish the massive action that we needed. And I think that sometimes, they either don't know how to do it, they don't really have the time because there is so much on their plate and they have to prioritize. So, that's where, coaching, right? Like, the importance of having a coach is like yourself, that can actually help with the mindset, hold them accountable, push them forward without letting it go, oh, poor me. Like, no, okay, so what do we have to handle? So let's say you tell them to take massive action in marketing and they're not, you go, okay, good. So part of your massive action is to hire a marketing agency because yes, you cannot do it all yourself, right? Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the area that most people struggle, and they don't think of themselves as the person, well, I don't need help. I know a lot of stuff. I get it. But, knowing stuff and implementing is two different things.
Two different things.
Yeah. For example, I knew when I started my business that, I could do financial analysis all day long, but I didn't know how to go find a client. So once you accept the fact that you don't know something, you need to go find the person who's done it and is reliable, and you're going to invest time and money to learn what you need to learn and implement. So at the beginning, for example, I started doing a lot of the stuff, implementing myself. I'm actually a good implementer. And I started doing it myself. But then eventually I said, okay, now that I know the strategy, I know what I need to be doing. I've learned from Grant, top promoter. And now I could hire someone that I can teach. So I'm one of those that I love to build a team. So I hired an intern, marketing intern, and I teach, strategize, teach him the strategy. This is what we're going to do. He goes and does it. All I have to do is review and come back with some good, bad, other ideas or thoughts, or, let's think through this. He might know something that I haven't really caught on to, maybe more on software. So it becomes a team building so that everybody can benefit from it. And some people just need that coach, right? We got coach as 10X Elite coaches. And it's that continuous coaching that's going to help push you out of your comfort zone. It's going to push you out of your poor me and the victim mindset. That's why you need coaches. And the example I would give is that, you see in, major league, whatever, basketball, baseball, whatever, every single player has a coach. They're coaching them to succeed and be able to produce the results that the people watching are going to expect from them. It's the same in business. And it's so sad that for many years, I think that's not been, talked about. And every business owner needs a coach.
Absolutely. Every business owner needs a coach, and for different things, the financial, the marketing, the general business, but also the mindset. I agree with you. So if people want to reach out to you because they want to know how you can be their coach, or just ask you a question, or just know more about you, how do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can reach out to me just by calling 786-693-2208. If they like the email thing, because I know everybody has a different style of communication, they can email me, Marie@MarieTorossianCPA.com.
Awesome. And we'll, of course, include that in the show notes so people can easily access you. Well, Marie, it's been a pleasure having you on this podcast. Thank you for all the knowledge and sharing all this experience and motivating us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adi. I appreciate you inviting me, and thank you for the audience as well.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.